Good morning and welcome to the meeting of the Board of Directors
Recording in progress.
of the California Massage Therapy Council. It is Wednesday, June 5, and it's 9:31. I'm going to ask one of our attorneys to pick the first four items, that is 2, 3, and 4. First, pick items 2, 3, and 4. Jill England.
Good morning, everyone. This is Jill England. I'm one of the attorneys for CAMTC. Item 2 on the agenda is basically just giving you a little bit of information about how we're holding this meeting. This meeting is being held under a brand new law in California, under the Begley-Keene Open Meeting Act, that now allows for some actual remote participation. There's been a teleconference law under Begley-Keene for many years, but it did not allow for true remote access. Everyone could be in different places, but they all had to be in a public place. This new law came into effect January 1, 2024. Interestingly, it sunsets on January 1, 2026, so it's only around for a little while unless they continue it at the legislature. For now, the rules are under Government Code Section 11123.2. That's the section under which we're holding the meeting. And I'm going to go over just a couple of unique things about this way of having a CMTC meeting. So I will try not to bore you with too many details, but there's a couple of things that are important for this meeting. Basically, a group subject to Begley-Keene can have a teleconference meeting if at least a majority of the board members are in one place. That will include any board members participating remotely due to a disability. I'll get to that in the next item. All board members participating remotely must be on camera. You must stay on camera during the whole meeting. If you need a break to go off camera for some reason, just please raise your hand so that a break can be called so that you can be off camera. Another rule about it is under this law is that board members who are remote need to disclose if there is anyone in the room 18 years or older and explain why they are there. Otherwise, board members who are remote should be in a private place where they're not generally being overheard. So speak up if you have anyone else with you that's 18 years or older and explain why they're in the room with you. Give me a second. This is still new to me as well. I don't want to miss anything. Hang on, I'm trying to this. So I talked about the fact that a majority of the members need to be in person together in one place. There is an exception to that. A board member who notifies CMTC that they have a disability and need to participate remotely can do that. We have 2 board members who've done that, and I'll talk about that in the next agenda item. The board simply approves those exceptions, and then we go on with the meeting. I may have covered all of this. If any board member who is participating remotely starts having a technical difficulty, please raise your hand immediately so you can be recognized to talk about why you're having a technical difficulty. As always, all votes must be taken by roll call. CMTC, I think, does that even at their in-person meetings, and so that will be done today for sure. I think that's the end of the special rules for this new type of remote teleconference meeting. So with Mark's permission, I'm going to proceed on to item 3 on the agenda, which is board approval of exceptions from in-person attendance for 2 board members who are participating remotely due to a disability. I'm going to address Dr. Dr. Jeff Foreman, who's one of the board members first. Jeff, can you make a very brief statement? Jeff is not required to give a lot of detail about his disability or any really personal information, but Jeff, can you make a brief statement about why you need to participate remotely today due to your disability?
Thank you very much, Bill. My condition affects my musculoskeletal and immune system and significantly limits my ability to perform physical activities such as travel. And I'm also immunocompromised. I need to avoid heat as much as possible to prevent the mistake.
That's plenty. Thank you, Jeff. So I would ask the board for our first motion of the day to exempt Jeff from in-person attendance but still be counted as being in person due to disability.
I will move to exempt Jeff Foreman from in-person attendance at this meeting due to a disability, but to count him in person pursuant to Government Code Section 11123.J.2.
I'll second.
Thank you. Who was that for Charlotte's purposes?
It was Bernadette Murray.
Thanks, Bernadette. Charlotte, are you getting all this? I can send some of this to you later too. She's probably muted.
I got it, Jill, thanks.
Okay. Is there board discussion on this? And of course, any board member who wants to speak on this motion can for up to 2 minutes. Is there any discussion at all on this motion?
Jill, if I may, it's my challenge. I don't know if you can do it later or now, but if maybe I missed it. If Jeff can just acknowledge that you don't want 18-year-old in the room with them, that would be great.
I'm all alone.
Okay, great, thank you.
Thanks, Jeff. Well, I haven't heard that there's any discussion, so I'd like to go right to a vote. Charlotte, can you unmute yourself, please, and do a roll call vote, or whatever you need to do?
Sure. Mike Pelkey,
Yes.
Mark Dixon,
Yes?
Anna Hoover. Yes. Jeff Foreman,
Yes.
Heather Horsey. Yes. Sarah Frazier. Yes. Jennifer Gonzalez. Yes. Michael Nerlander.
Yes.
Bernadette Murray. Yes. Stephanie Cole.
Yes.
Martha Spofford.
Yes.
Christy Underwood. Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you, everyone. It was unanimously approved. Thank you very much. Let me move on to the second board member who has requested to participate remotely due to a disability. This is Chair Mark Dixon. Mark, can you give a very brief statement without disclosing anything too personal about why you have a disability today?
Yes, Bill. On Monday, I took a very bad fall and went to the emergency room where I spent 6 hours. And it was determined that I fractured 2 vertebrae in my back. I broke my back. And not fully up to where I need to be travel-wise, but the doctor's orders are to not fly. So I had to make a change and I'm going to be on 1 year.
Okay.
Not to fly.
Thank you, Mark. Can the board, can someone please make a motion to exempt Mark from in-person attendance today, but be counted as in-person?
I'll make that motion.
Is that Jeff?
Yes. I'd like to
Thank you, Jeff.
exempt partial of in-person attendance at this meeting due to a disability, but to count him as in-person pursuant to Government Code Section 11123.2 J3.
Second,
Thank you, Jeff. Do we have a second?
yeah, me, Shayna.
Who was that? Shayna. Thank you, Shayna.
Sure.
Thank you, Shayna. Mark, will you make some statements that might asked for earlier that there's no one else with you 18 years of age or older.
Yes, I'm alone and it will. My
Okay,
office.
thank you. Is there any board discussion on this? Okay, hearing none, Charlotte, would you please take a roll call vote?
Sure. Mike Kelly,
Yes, I don't feel better, but
Mark Dixon,
Yes?
Shayna Faber,
Yes.
Jeff Foreman,
Yes.
Heather Forshy. Yes. Sarah Frazier. Yes. Jennifer Gonzalez. Yes. Michael Marylander,
Yes.
Bernadette Murray,
Yes.
Stephanie Hall,
Yes.
Martha Stoffer,
Yes.
Christie Underwood.
Yes.
Okay, sounds like that unanimously passed as well, thank you. On item 4, Charlotte, could you take a roll call? Just to make sure all the board members are here or who is here.
You want me to go ahead and tell her?
Yeah, please.
Okay. Mike Kelly,
here.
Mark Dixon,
Here?
Shayna Faber. Here. Jeff Foreman,
Present.
Heather Forshy. Here. Sarah Frazier. Here. Jennifer Gonzalez. Here. Michael Marylander,
Here.
Bernadette Murray,
Here.
Stephanie Powell,
Here.
Martha Stoffer,
Here.
and Christie Underwood.
Here.
Thank you, Charlotte. I'm going to say who, it's hard, I can't really see, but I'm going to list off who I believe is there in person, and you guys can just correct me if I'm wrong. I believe in person we have Mike Callaghy, Heather Forshy, Jennifer Gonzalez, Bernadette Murray, Sarah Frazier, and Christie Underwood. And then we also have Jeff Foreman and Mark Dixon, who are counted as in person due to their disabilities today. Participating remotely today, we have Michael Marylander, Shayna Faber, Stephanie Powell, and Martha Stover. Did I get that right? Any corrections to that? Okay. Thank you. I will now turn it over to Mark, the chair. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Joe. I'd just like to welcome everyone, those present, either online or in the room in San Jose, and also our guests from all over. Thank you for coming today. I'm going to, for the benefit of review for the board members, and for those who may not have attended a CAMTC board meeting before, I'm going to cover the rules of debate and discussion. Only one item, the item on the floor, is discussed at a time. Only one person speaks at a time. The person introducing the item, the person speaking for or against the item, or the person answering or asking a question or raising a point of order. In the interest of courtesy, we will avoid conversations on the side. They can be distracting and also distract one's attention from what's going on in the meeting. The directors debating a motion will have 2 minutes to speak, once on each motion, after which the motion will go to a vote following public comments. While every director has a right to speak on each motion, in the interest of time, directors are encouraged not to simply repeat a comment already made by someone else. Of course, the board may vote to extend time for debate. I'll also ask the visitors who wish to make public comment when the time comes to avoid repeating each other so that we can conclude this meeting in an efficient manner. When you want to speak, raise your hand and wait to be recognized by the chair. With a hybrid setting like this, it's hard to tell who wants to speak, so you can use, if you're on Zoom, you information, not for the purpose of stating a position or debating. Right? Thank you for that. Now, as you know, from my request for a disability exemption today, I took a pretty bad fall, and I'm not firing on all 8 cylinders. I am going to, because this is such a complex and long agenda with so many moving parts, I'm going to ask for some assistance on running this agenda, and ask Jeff as vice chairman, will you be able to run this meeting today?
I think, Mark, maybe someone else was actually there to have a better opportunity.
Thank you. Well, next in line is the secretary in the order of succession, Shayna. Will you be willing to run the meeting?
No, I agree with Jeff Foreman on that one.
Thank you. Then I'm going to ask Mr. Netanel, our Chief Executive Officer, if he's willing to take the gavel for this meeting.
That's the request of the chair. I realize that I don't have a gavel here. This is all last minute. So I guess I'm just going to use my knuckles for that.
Can I just have a point of order? Is that proper? Wouldn't you continue to go down through the executive team and then onto the board to ask other board members to run the meeting?
No, not necessarily. It's up to the discretion of the chair.
Is it?
Would any attorneys present care to weigh in on this subject?
Yeah, just confirming that the chair can appoint substitute chairs.
And your name?
Can I start with you?
Oh, Kristen Anderson.
Thank you.
And your general counsel?
Chief, you need to confirm the other general
It does
counsel.
not have to be a board member, the chair can appoint anyone to serve as the chair.
Well, we've already heard this now. So, Mr. Netanel, thank you for agreeing to take the meeting. The gavel is yours, the agenda is yours.
Thank you very much.
Mr. Chair? I have a motion that I would like to bring forward before we start the agenda.
Okay. Is something that is on the agenda?
Yes.
Okay.
I would like to move that we take up agenda item 31, which is the appointment of additional board members. Consider that following agenda item 7 prior to going into closed session.
So for me to make sure I understand what you're requesting is you're asking to move
Right.
an agenda item from one location to different place in the agenda.
Yes.
I will interrupt to call for the orders of the day.
One of CATC attorneys, who's I believe online, Kevin Frankel, can you please explain to the board what does it mean to call for the board of the day?
Certainly, this is Kevin Frankel. Hopefully you can all hear me. My camera seems to be off, but that's okay.
We can hear.
Okay, so calling for the orders of the day requires keeping the original agenda item as set and the existing order, unless there is a 2/3 supermajority vote to overturn the chair. So if the chair receives a call for orders of the day, then it's got to proceed as listed on the agenda unless there's an appeal.
So just to be clear, I was in the middle of item number 5. So we were talking about item number 5. I was going to actually ask for people in the audience to make introductions. So if I choose to accept what Chair Dixon, requested, that means that we are going to, pass on that motion, or am I confused?
No, that's correct.
Okay, so I will, grant the, request of the chair, and we will continue with item number 5.
And I'm sorry to interrupt, but the audio team is asking everyone at this table to move their mics a little bit closer, please, to the recording. Thank you.
So, right,
I just have a question, procedure, sorry. So she calls for a request, do we have to vote to see if there's a supermajority one? And then 2, can the board ask for an explanation before we call for a vote to determine that we don't have supermajority for Chair Dixon's orders of the day?
If I may.
you can weigh in on this.
Certainly. So there's no debate or vote on a call for orders of the day. And it immediately returns us to the original agenda item.
Which in this particular case was agenda item number 5.
Correct. And it does not require a vote.
So then, no, there appears to be some new attorneys here today. Can we just take a moment, introduce them, get a little bit about their background, so I can understand their level of expertise in this, and I'm sure they're very qualified. I just like to get them a little bit better. That's okay with the board, if you would help me for just a minute.
And the fact that was going to be part of what I was intending doing, item number 5. So,
No, great, thank you.
Before we go on, can I ask a quick question? I just want to make sure I understand, what I'm hearing is that we can't vote on Bernadette's motion, to change the order. And I believe the attorney that's online made a statement, and I understand it, but I thought at our last meeting, we changed all the order. So I'm just concerned that are we being consistent with how we handle the agenda?
This one, remotely, would everybody please begin by speaking their name before they continue? So we know.
This is Christy Underwood.
Thank you.
I'm happy to address that as well if you'd like.
procedurally, Kevin, can you please address the question?
Certainly. So the difference, and this is Kevin Frankel, and I'm an attorney with McGuire Woods, but we'll get to that in a moment, I suspect. Procedurally, if there is a motion to change the agenda, that can be done with a normal vote. If, however, there is then a call for the orders of the day after the motion to change the agenda, the call for orders of the day does not require a vote. Instead, it returns us to the normal agenda. So I think that might be the difference, is in previous meetings, there may have been motions to change the agenda. I'm not aware of calls for orders of the day that took place after. That's a privileged motion, and so it ends up superseding the motion to change the agenda. And so we don't move to a vote on the agenda after all.
Thank you. So I'm going to continue with item number 5. I'd like to give an opportunity for several introductions. First of all, members of the public who are here in the room. You do not have to identify yourself, but if you would like to introduce yourself, you're welcome to do so.
Give it another try, please.
Kimberly Austin, certified massage therapist, 68526. I'm in Fulton, California. And thank you for having me speak.
morning in regards to massage of the Glendale and mutual developer for massage of in Los Angeles and board member of the Massage of California Maritime Association.
Ham Chan, I was wondering, do I rest here or how many minutes do we get to speak?
Up to 2 minutes.
Okay, I'll make it fast. Thank you for, my name's Ham Chan, thank you for the opportunity to speak with you today. I'm thrilled and slightly terrified, but in a good way, to express my interest in joining the board of the California Massage Therapy Council. My diverse background uniquely qualifies me to make significant.
Excuse me for interrupting. This is just if you want to introduce yourself. Here's an agenda item to discuss that later, and at that point you can make those comments just to introduce yourself. But here's an agenda item to address this.
Okay.
So you will be able to.
Okay. Ham Chan, member of the public. I'm a United States veteran and a therapist and crime investigator and all that sort of stuff. And I'm going to be talking later about and get a little bit more depth about introducing myself.
Thank you. Anybody else in the room wish to introduce themselves?
I'm Chan from Folsom, certified massage therapist. Sorry, I can't read my number off the card.
Okay, seeing nobody else in the room that wishes to introduce themselves, I would like to introduce several new people on the dais here, and that is that CAMTC as three new attorneys who were retained to assist the board in providing them legal advice on various issues. So I'd like to introduce themselves, and each one of them maybe could take a couple of minutes to share with us the background. To my left, I have Christian Underwood. I did the same mistake that you did here. Christian Anderson.
Nice to meet you all. My name is Kristen Anderson. I'm an attorney at the law firm for nonprofit. We specialize in nonprofit law and taxes and organization law. All of our clients are nonprofit organizations. And as almost mentioned, we were hired by CAMTC to advise on various issues, including corporate governance matters. And I have over 10 years of experience working in tax law and nonprofit law, and our firm has been around for more than 25 years. Do you have any questions on that? Anyone have any questions?
Thank you. Over here to the right, Matt Harris, also an attorney, specializes in nonprofit.
Yes, my name is May Harris. I'm just in nonprofit organizations and representation. I've been practicing in this area for over 14 years. It's a pleasure to be here.
And next is Kevin Frankel, who is in McGuire Woods. Kevin, if you wish to introduce yourself.
Thanks. Hello, everyone. I'm Kevin Frankel. I'm a partner at McGuire Woods in San Francisco. And I apologize I'm not able to be there in person today. I'm a litigator and a former regulator at a state AG's office handling nonprofit and other public matters. And as part of my practice, I advise nonprofits, including on governance and also litigation matters. I was retained here to advise on governance and litigation matters. I'm pleased to be with you today.
Thank you, Kevin. So now we are moving to item number 7. I'm sorry, item number 6. There is a hefty amount of documents in this board packet. addressing this entire issue of considering and incorporating the entire concept of looking at dealing with human trafficking. Protection of the most vulnerable is a high priority for this board. So these documents introduce and discuss in detail shifting the approach to addressing human trafficking, not only as a law enforcement issue, but actually approaching it as a public health issue. There's been a lot of research on that, and this is something that the chair asked to put the board at the beginning of the agenda, is because in January last year, we were approached by officials of LA County who were attending the convening that CAMTC co-hosted in LA about illicit massage, illegal operations in massage. And I believe it was Rick who was first approached by LA County to introduce this concept. I believe that this is something that the board probably want to take a deep dive into, not today. We do not have the time for it, but the chair wanted to introduce the concept, and hopefully it will be in the agenda to have a more in-depth discussion in a future longer meeting. I think we're going to have a 2-day meeting coming up next, so we'll have plenty of time to take a deep dive about that. But Rick, can you just give us a little content how we ended up starting to take a dive into this?
Sure, Honors. Of course, back in January of 2023, we had the convening in downtown LA, and members of district attorneys and police departments from all over the country attended, and we did a presentation. When I say it was myself, Mike Callaghy, and Beverly May, did a presentation on our experiences with human trafficking. You know, Mike Callaghy has an extensive police background, and we all contributed to what we thought would be a great idea on how to stem the tide of human trafficking in massage. And the presentation went really good. We had a lot of people come up and talk to us, but one in particular was Joe Mellis. He's a LA County Counsel who works for the well, he works for LA County, but he primarily with the health department there. And we began to exchange ideas and talking about the possibilities of, well, frankly, to learn something new, to try a different paradigm in what we're currently doing and see if we can improve it. So Joe and I had subsequent conversations, and I really had a gut feeling. I mean, I was with LAPD for 32 years doing this, and I had a gut feeling in my stomach that this is an organization, this is the guy that we should start developing a relationship with, because I believe we can do some great things together. Thank you.
And thank you, Rick. And just conceptually, as I said earlier, we don't have time to take a deep dive into this whole idea, but I'd like to call your attention to page 100 in the packet. It's actually page 27 of a specific document. It is a chart where I think that pretty much depicts the line of thinking that the chair shared with me. And that is, as you can see, the different pieces of puzzle. And law enforcement is clearly part of it. But you also see that there are other elements there. Education, community-based organization, and of course, healthcare. So again, the board is going to have an opportunity to take a deep dive and study all of this and see if you want to make changes in the way we are approaching this issue in future meetings. But that is really the concept here, is not to do one instead of the other, but to be more inclusive and having various kind of stakeholders that can contribute to the process, be part of that process. So really, that's all I wanted to do in regard to item number 6. Now we're going to move to item number 7. I believe this is an item that Chair Dixon put on the agenda.
That is correct. I'd like to speak to that item. Almost I was responding to a message here. You're asking about the selection of the health department employment.
Actually, Chair Dixon, I'm a little rusty running a meeting like this, so I made a little mistake. I was just reminded before we go to your motion, any public comments in regard to item number 6, which we just finished discussing. Okay, I see none in the room. Are there any public comments regarding item number 6 for people who are participating remotely?
You can comment, please raise your hand using the raise hand function on the toolbar below, or if you are on the phone, you can dial *9. There are no comments at this time.
Thank you. Chair Dixon, I apologize for jumping ahead, but please go ahead with your item number 7.
Thank you, Holmes. I'll begin by moving to select the Los Angeles County Department of Public Health as the county health department entitled to appoint one board member to the CAMTC Board of Directors pursuant to section 4602 F9 of the Massage Therapy Act. Los Angeles, the County of Los Angeles, has taken the lead in developing a completely new approach, completely realigned and reimagined approach to dealing with the very difficult problem of human trafficking.
Okay, excuse me, can you please repeat the motion?
Yes.
I did not hear a second. It sounded
Sure. I move to select the Los Angeles County Department of Public Health as the county health department entitled to appoint one board member to the CAMTC Board of Directors pursuant to section 4602 Frank 9 of the Massage Therapy Act.
This is Shane Favor, and I'm seconding the motion.
Thank you, Shana. I jumped the gun and didn't for a second. Thank you.
And just for clarification, it's not exactly clear from the motion to make this selection effective when.
Effective immediately.
So do you? Does that mean, can you please restate the motion?
Yes, I can. Motion to select the Los Angeles County Department of Public Health as the county health department entitled to appoint one board member to the CAMTC Board of Directors pursuant to section 4602 F Frank 9 of the Massage Therapy Act, effective immediately.
This is Shane Favor again, and I second the motion.
Is there a second?
That's me, Shana.
Thank you, Shana.
Make with the motion, please hold on.
So, this is Heather Forsky. I am currently sitting in the position that the chair is suggesting be vacated and replaced with LA County. I do want to point out that, I think the relationship with LA County is great. So I'm going to start with that. It's a great step forward with, the work that this organization is doing.
Wait, are you speaking?
No. That said, I'm in the middle of my term, and you're asking that I be replaced. You're asking the board to replace me, which is questionable. It's questionable in my mind as to the timing. There's a lot of criticism that I have launched at some of the actions of the board chair, and I'm now.
You will have a chance to speak against the motion. Okay?
This is the 2-minute part. We're
You have an opportunity to make
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Please go ahead and start over.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The motion has to do only with one thing, and that is to designate a new appointing entity for the position of a representative from the Department of Public Health, that being the County of Los Angeles. It has nothing to do with anything personal about Heather Forshee or about the County of San Mateo Department of Health. It has only to do with designating a different and highly qualified county that has been leading the nation in defining a new paradigm, a new way of dealing with human trafficking that is very forward-thinking, involves a whole new outside-the-box thinking, backed up by volumes of research and data, as you've seen a small portion of here in our board packet today. And I think it's the right time for a change, it's the right time for a leadership county, Los Angeles County, to take the helm of redefining the relationship with CAMTC and its interest in supporting the engagement of human trafficking.
Thank you. Anybody else would like to be recognized to speak on this motion? We'll start with Chief Gonzalez.
Do you want to hear what the other member had already started?
I saw you.
I wasn't going to speak on this item until we got into a little bit of discussion here by the chair. My concern has to do with the position itself, removing the motion for who's involved. If it's already filled, I don't know that we need to be having this discussion at this time, especially with this agenda that we have before us. And, well, I can agree that Ellie might be doing some very forward-thinking things, and we don't know that it's proven. And for our state, we've had to follow a lot of things, bad ideas from LA, that then the state has taken on as a mission for us as a state, but we are then untested and we become test subjects. So I don't know if we, without the presentation that you guys have talked about maybe next time, I don't know that this is warranted right now, until we know what those forward-thinking items are. And to do that, I just think that's something that needs submission.
Thank you.
I said most of what I had to say before. I think the timing is questionable. There's been a lot of critical discussions around some of the last agenda item, or the last board meeting speaks for itself. But I'm in the middle of a term, and this is an effort to replace me with LA County Public Health. And while I agree that moving forward, this is something to aspire to. I believe that I have a term that I'm compelled to complete.
Thank you. Scott?
I've been on this board a long time. This is one of the most outrageous things I've ever heard. There's been some devious things on this board, nothing like this. This is clearly an attempt to remove one of the most qualified people that we have ever had on this board to change the majority of, to change a different majority of the board. This is all centered around me. Obviously, the attempt to get rid of me from this board, and anyone that has lined up with me, who has called into account the actions of this board in the past. This is outrageous. Heather is one of the most dedicated, unbelievably informed people we've ever had on this board. She actually reads the packet and makes informed decisions. And we have never, ever had a precedent like this, where we remove somebody in the middle of their term. You want to look after her term, great. But bringing this person to the board does absolutely nothing for this board. Folks, we are not in the business of human trafficking.
To your point of order, it is not bringing a person to the board. This has nothing to do with bringing a person to the board.
Excuse me, don't interrupt me. Excuse me, don't interrupt me during my time.
I will interrupt if I'm making a point of order.
Do not interrupt me during my time.
Mr. Dixon, please let, my colleague finish his comments.
Good. You gotta ask yourself, how many of you were already contacted and told about this and asked to vote a certain way? Guys, this is not the way to run for it. This is unbelievable for someone who's dedicated their time and effort to this board. She is, like I said, one of the most dedicated, well-informed, intelligent individuals that I've ever had the opportunity to work with. This is an outrage, and you should be ashamed of yourself.
Thank you. Christie Underwood.
Thank you, Christy Underwood. It feels very uncomfortable to me that we are discussing a term that is in existence. I've never heard of such a thing where I would be fine with voting in a different county. I don't know if you voted in the county that is currently being represented, but that should be done at the end of the person's term. And it seems like if we are making this decision today, we have to first make the decision to remove the existing person, which was not noted on the agenda, so I'm certainly wasn't prepared to try to vote someone out of the board. But it's an existing term. It doesn't even seem ethical that we would be talking about eliminating it effective immediately, eliminating someone's term by just changing who the appointing authority is.
I just want to clarify so everyone knows what the motion is on the table. It's not to remove a director or replace a director, it was just to replace the designating entity. Just to make sure that's clear.
But he did say effective immediately. So then I would ask legal counsel what that results in effective immediately is the term.
No, so what that means is that effective immediately, the new designating entity becomes that entity. That's what that means. Doesn't mean she was removed immediately.
So Heather would stay in her term until the end of her term, and then LA would appoint someone?
Unless LA appoints someone else.
Well, of course LA is going to appoint someone.
The letter is in the packet.
Renee?
Yes. Since Heather's term doesn't end until September the 14th, 2027, I had come prepared to offer an alternative motion to honor the request from LA County that we as the board consider the appointment of Dr. Susie Baldwin. That's part of the reason why, that's one of the big reasons why I was asking for agenda item 31 to be moved up, so that we could have a constructive resolution to this, and very much, I would just say it's very confusing to include in the board packet a resume from a particular person. In the past, when we have had an appointing entity, we only talk about the entity. And then after they made the appointment, they forward the resume of their appointee. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments from the board?
Can someone give us a page number for that reference?
Comments from board members who are participating remotely?
If you'd like to make a comment, please raise your hand or push star 9. We have a comment from Julie.
Any comments from board members who are participating remotely? Seeing none?
Can you clarify what page number that reference letter is on?
157.
Okay.
Sorry, to
Now
do you
going-
have a comment from John Foreman?
I'm going to take public comments from, oh, I'm sorry, Dr. Foreman.
I think this is a great opportunity to work with LA County. And I think we shouldn't pass it by. I think we should go ahead and join forces with LA County to help us protect the public.
Thank you. Any public comments from people in the room?
I apologize for the difficult hearing, so I'm going to move on track. Bear with me. If I'm understanding correctly, this position would be replacing her, if you're doing a great job. I would say that when the time comes to have a health officer on the board at the new term, that there's 58 counties. I would think, even though this is a wonderful, long CV, there should be more than one county, more than one candidate from a county to be considered by the board. Thank you.
Any other, public comments?
The meeting in South Valley, or in the one during I'm the certified consultant in California. The last meeting I came to was my first meeting, and I was actually very impressed with how prepared Heather was. So if this is too low for out, I've been highly disappointed because she's one of the people that I've admired the most after attending that meeting, because I felt like she was very prepared and she knew what she was talking about, and that I really appreciated her insights, and I feel like a lot of things with the board have moved very slowly, and I felt like she was somebody who was going to help push things in a good direction. So just wanted to say that work on it.
Thank you. Any other public comments from people in the room? Seeing none, operator, I'd like to take any public comments for people participating from the public, people participating by Zoom.
You have a comment from Julie. Julie, go ahead. Julie, if you'd like to make a comment, please unmute.
Do you have any?
This is Julita. I have studied 6 months, around 6 months in A2Z massage school, but they had some issue with the massage, CAMTC. And then,
Excuse me for interrupting.
I haven't received,
You need to stay on topic. We have a motion, regarding, selection of health department.
okay,
So-
I will talk about it later, sorry.
Yeah, you can talk.
Sorry for that.
There'll be plenty of time later to take, public comments for items not on the agenda. Any public comments for people who are not in the room, specifically regarding agenda item 7?
There are no further comments at this time.
Is none? Correct. Thank you. No more public comments, so, Charlotte, please repeat the motion, and, what I want to ask board members, if anybody is not sure what the motion, reads, and you look confused, please, strongly encourage you to be clear, how you're voting, so there are no confusions, later. So we're going to take our time to make sure that every board member understands, in case you have any questions about the motion specifically. Please repeat the motion.
to select the Los Angeles County Department of Public Health as the county health department entitled to appoint one board member to the CAMTC Board of Directors pursuant to 4602, Section F, subsection 9 of the Massage Therapy Act, effective immediately.
All right, please, take your roll call vote.
Might be helpful to remind the board before you go for vote that for the purposes of counting the vote, tallying the results, an abstention counts the same as a no.
Mike Kelly,
Absolutely not.
Mark Dixon,
Yes.
Sheena Faber,
Yes.
Jeff Foreman,
Yes.
Heather Forshee,
No.
Sarah Frazier,
No.
Jennifer Gonzalez,
No.
Michael Berrylander,
Yes.
Bernadette Murray,
No.
Stephanie Powell,
Yes.
somebody asked, I'm sorry,
Yes.
Martha Sofer,
Yes.
Christie Underwood.
No.
Okay, the motion failed. Next, we are going to move into item 8, which is a closed session for CAMTC legal counsel to discuss pending litigation pursuant to the California Government Code, section 1.26E. So we need to ask people in the room, please take with you your bag, and back to the room. The same to go for people who proceed, members of the public who proceed remotely. We will be put in the waiting room, and when the report on the closed session will be joined. Thank you.
Recording in progress.
Okay, thank you for your patience. We are right now going to go to agenda number 9. Board members conduct censure or removal. Sarah.
Yeah, I would like to make a motion for the board to censure Mike Halke in accordance with the resolution that the government's attorney will be reading.
This is a resolution of reprimand and censure by California Massage Therapy Council Board of Directors.
We need a second.
Oh, sorry.
A second.
I wasn't sure which one was first. Okay.
Whereas the members of the board of directors of California Massage Therapy Council serve as fiduciaries of CAMTC, a California nonprofit public benefit corporation exempt from federal income tax as described by section 501c3 of the Uniform Revenue Code. Whereas section 5231A of the California nonprofit corporation law mandates that directors of the California nonprofit public benefit corporation shall perform the duties of the director, including director duties as a member of any committee of the board upon which the director may serve, in good faith, in a manner that the director believes to be in the best interest of the corporation, and with such care as to be reasonable inquiries as an ordinarily prudent person would in a like position would use under similar circumstances. Whereas the board adopted the following resolution on June 23rd, 2016, further clarifying director's duty of loyalty. The resolution reads, whereas, so the resolution of the resolution, right? Whereas CAMTC welcomes as any active organization. Whereas, however, board members organized and public undermining of positions already taken by CAMTC can damage the effectiveness and reputation of the organization, place excessive burdens on the professional staff and consultants, and disrupt CAMTC operations. As a result, such organized and sustained actions are viewed as serious violations of duty of loyalty to the organization and its commitment to protect the public. Whereas CAMTC in no way discourages its directors from respectful disagreement with the board's policy decisions during or outside of board meetings, nor does CAMTC desire to discourage dissent with CAMTC policies by organizations that appoint directors to the CAMTC board. Now therefore be it resolved, except as provided above, that the CAMTC board of directors views any action by a city director who publicly opposes a position already taken by the CAMTC board during the director's term of office as a violation of the duty of loyalty to CAMTC, and such behavior may subject the director to action by the board, including but not limited to censure. Whereas Mike Callaghy is currently director on the board of CAMTC, is the chair of the CAMTC Audit Committee, and has a long relationship with the California Police Chiefs Association, CPCA. Whereas in and around March to May of 2024, Mr. Callaghy made unauthorized disclosures to third parties, including CPCA, of CAMTC confidential information, including detailed internal corporate financial records, internal email correspondences, and personal information about CAMTC employees. Whereas Mr. Callaghy did not obtain the approval of the board, nor has he been delegated the authority as an individual director to act on behalf of the board to disclose CAMTC confidential information. Whereas, as a direct result of Mr. Callaghy's aforementioned actions, CAMTC has suffered harm, reputational damage, monetary damage, and increased and unexpected demands on its staff, all of which undermined CAMTC's ability to further its mission of protecting the public. Whereas, after due consideration, the board has determined that Mr. Callaghy has breached his fiduciary duty to CAMTC, has violated board policies, and that his actions have adversely impacted the ability to fulfill its mission of protecting the public. Whereas the board further determines that the foregoing actions illustrate a pattern of violations of board policies and breaches of fiduciary duty, and those actions establish a pattern of practice of behavior that falls below the highest ethical standards required of a fiduciary, and that the actions have adversely affected the administration of CAMTC and consequently the interests of the individuals and causes served by CAMTC. Whereas board policies authorize the board to censure a director under the circumstances presented herein. Now therefore be it resolved that the board is indignant that Mr. Callaghy has taken the actions described herein in violation of board policies and in breach of his statutory fiduciary duties as a director of CAMTC and to the detriment of CAMTC. Be it further resolved that Mr. Callaghy is hereby removed as the chair and member of the audit committee and shall henceforth be prohibited from serving on the audit committee or any committee of the board or from serving as an officer of CAMTC for a period of 1 year. Be it further resolved that the board hereby censures Mr. Callaghy in the strongest possible terms, finding that Mr. Callaghy's misconduct constituted violation of board policies, a breach of his fiduciary duties, and resulted in damage to CAMTC, hindering him to refrain from communicating with external stakeholders, including CPCA, in his capacity as a director of CAMTC, and refrain from disclosing CAMTC confidential information or taking any other action that may constitute a breach of his fiduciary duties.
So there's a motion on the floor which was seconded. Now the board can go into debate. So the maker of the motion has 2 minutes to speak to the motion.
I think that I'm unsure what I can say, not that was shared in closed session. However, the information that has been made available to us, this feels in line with protecting the CAMTC and protecting the third-party entities that we're working with in order to maintain our mission statement of protecting the public. And that's why this is an important decision that we make today.
ask the board's indulgence for more than 2 minutes since on the subject of the center. Let me start by saying I've been a long-term board member here and probably have brought more safety programs and changes to CAMTC than anyone else. I have always had the best interest of CAMTC at heart. The actions I took, I deemed necessary to protect this organization. Let me also say that actions I took had not been approved by the board. Again, had not been approved by the board. I don't even know what the basis of that would be. It never came to the board. And I thought it was going to cause irreparable harm to the reputation of this organization and the CPCA. And that's why I took the action that I did. I have always been about public safety. For 40 years, I've been in public service, serving the communities. I'm probably the only one that's probably ever served on this board that's been inside a human trafficking organization. So I battled it from the ground up. And for this board to take this action against me for something I did for this board, to save the perception of this board is outrageous, I think. I certainly understand that some of you don't have all the facts. You don't know. You just obviously I try to supply you with facts, but you don't know. Additionally, I didn't release personal.
I'm sorry, I have to cut you off there. The board is not approved giving you more than 2 minutes outside the rule of debate.
I'd like to make a motion to extend his time by another 4 minutes so that he can complete his thoughts.
I am the subject of this. I think that would be.
There's a motion on the floor. Is there a second?
There's a motion on the floor to extend Mr. Callady's comment in 4 minutes. To make up the motion, we here to speak for the motion.
I think that the resolution is very detailed and it warrants an open session response that doesn't include any confidential information.
Thank you. Any other board members who would like to speak in regard to this motion? Any board members remotely would like to speak in regard to this motion? Are there any public comments in regard to the motion?
Yes, I think it's important to allow Ms. Callady to speak extra. I think,
Sir, I don't know if your mic's on, so let's make sure that confirmed so that folks remotely can hear you.
If I'm clear, the current motion is to extend my colleague's time.
By 4 minutes.
Wait,
one speaker at a time.
So I also support it. I think he deserves it, and it's important. I think it's a little disturbing for a regulatory body to demand loyalty. Most regulatory bodies do need a healthy level of debate, which includes the ability to criticize the organization, both for actions taken and actions not taken. This is pretty standard practice, so we appreciate hearing more from Mr. Callady. Thank you.
Thank you.
I would also like to hear what Mr. Callady has to say. I agree that a healthy debate is useful, and the reason I'm not here today is from the experience that I had at the last meeting, which I felt like a lot of things were brought to light, and it seemed clear that not the whole board knew what was going on, and I felt like he had brought a lot to the table to talk about and discuss, and so I feel like if we just kept him
in short care, that's not a service to us, that support the board.
Thank you. Any other comments from people in the audience here? Hearing none. Any public comments from people who are participating remotely?
Like to make a comment, please use the raise hand feature on your toolbar below or push *9 on your telephone keypad. There are no comments at this time.
Okay, I'm going to call for a vote. So just before we start, so we lost one board member. So at this point, to pass the motion, we need to have 6 yeses to pass the motion.
To the chair, this is Kevin Frankel. This is actually a motion to suspend the rules. So it, I believe, requires a 2/3 majority to suspend the rules.
We've definitely never done that in the past.
I'll speak to that. That's not been our custom and practice, and I don't think that should be suspending all the rules, just allowing Mike extra time.
So to be clear, to pass the motion, you need, in this particular case, 6 yes votes. John?
Well, that would be in line with our custom and practice. We are not bound to Robert's rules or any of that, so it's been our custom and practice on these kind of votes for it to be majority. I mean, people can disagree, but I just wanted to comment on custom and practice.
Okay, so since it's been a custom and practice and that to require 2/3, we were going to, my position of running this meeting, I will just say we're going to continue with the practice and we just need a simple majority to extend technicalities at that time. So that would be, corridor, if we get this, that we're talking about 6 votes. So please go.
Okay. Mike Callaghy,
Yes.
Mark Dixon,
Yes.
Shannon Faber,
Yes.
Jeff Foreman, Jeff Foreman, I think you're on mute.
Yes.
Thank you. Heather Forshee,
Yes.
Sarah Frazier,
Yes.
Jennifer Gonzalez,
Yes.
Michael Marylander,
Yes.
Bernadette Murray,
Yes.
Stephanie Powell, she's not present, okay. Martha Stopper,
Yes.
thank you. Christy Underwood,
Yes.
that's 11. Yes.
Okay, thank you, fellow board members, I appreciate that. As I was saying, I didn't reveal any personal information of any employee. I revealed the expense accounts. We are a quasi-governmental, non-profit organization. That should be public information. It should be accessible. Furthermore, we sent to a government email, which makes it public information. Ms. Harris sent you all a lengthy letter accusing me of lying, basically. I can refute every single point on that letter with credible documentary evidence. And I'll just give you one example. And that has to go with the compensation study. I think Ms. Harris bothered to ask our counsel if in closed session I was appointed to do the compensation study. A simple question would have clarified that. That I was in fact appointed to do that study. Furthermore, there's a document by Amos introducing me to CPAs to do that study. These are the things that have been outlined that are just simply wrong. I have always acted in the best interest of this organization, literally trying to protect it from itself in some cases. The perception of this organization is paramount. The perception of CPCA is paramount to me. I spent 30 years in that profession, and that is paramount. What is just outrageous is something Mark said, and I forgive him for it, but it's just outrageous that he says to anyone imply CPA appellants is important to the highest bidder, implying that there is testimony of purchase is damning assault on the worker. I never, ever implied that. In fact, I said the exact opposite at the last meeting, that there was absolutely nothing wrong that CPCA did, that they acted with the purest intent. I have done nothing but support this organization and try to protect the public for years on this board. Some of you are brand new and don't know what I have done for this organization. But you talk about a slap in the face for the time and effort that I put into this, for doing what I thought was right. And I'll tell you, I will always do what's right, because that's what I've done for the last 40 years of public service. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other board members wish to make any comments about Sarah Frazier's motion?
Heather Fortune. You know, in reading this very long, detailed censure, you know, with a lot of accusations made and, you know, the evidence that was presented, I do want to focus in on one of the things in this motion that causes me great concern, and that is removal of a critic of some of the items identified in you know, that the audit committee was working on. And this makes me very uneasy because this board is responsible for being very thorough and objective with the information that it is researching, and the audit committee is critical to that. There have been some concerns raised by one board member about some of the items, and the audit committee ultimately took those items up, and now as part of the censure, the board member is being removed from the audit committee, and it causes me concern that a critic is being silenced, and so I just want to point that out.
Thank you. Any other board member wishes to make any comments regarding this motion? Okay, hearing none, I'm going to take public comments from anybody here who wishes to make public comment here in the room.
As I mentioned, my hearing is less than optimum today. I could hear whereas, and not in detail. But what I do want to say is that Mike has always had a voice of reason on this board. I've come to these meetings for well over 10 years. I can't remember when the first date was. But Mike has always had a good outlook for the board and representing the board. And I have enjoyed the last several meetings where he has been speaking of the need for transparency
and he's put that to action. It has been too dark for too long with 660-page packets. How can any of you get through that and understand what you're going to vote on? Mike is shining a light on things, and I think it's needed. Thank you, and welcome to the new board members.
Thank you. Thank you. I would just say, as a member of the public, attending the last meeting where some of these issues were discussed in public gave me a lot of faith in this board, and I think that's a very positive thing. I think that points to the ability to have healthy debate is very important for any organization like yours. Second of all, especially with an audit committee, the whole point is to be critical. This is a very necessary function. It definitely seems like this would be a negative move in my eyes and a lot of people's eyes to say we're going to censor a critic, because healthy self-criticism is very important for an organization like yours.
Thank you.
As I had also said earlier, I was really inspired by the conversation that had happened at the last meeting. I am not familiar with how boards work, and this is my very first experience with this other than supporting boards, larger boards, but I went back and I talked to a lot of my colleagues and my friends about the experience that I've had here and people that are serving on major boards, and they were all really shocked to hear that what Mike had brought up in the last meeting wasn't already just the way the board was run. They were all, most of everybody I talked to was very shocked that Robert's rules were not being used, and that when I discussed what I learned about the finance reports and whatnot, they were very shocked to hear that this was going on. And so I feel like everything he brought up was very valid concerns, and I'm not really sure why he's being prosecuted for that. And I feel like as somebody who pays my memberships every 2 years and didn't complain, I even told you guys last time that I was fine with the increase because I believe in this board and what it can do for our industry. I'm really sad to hear that what I thought was going to be great in helping us push into a different direction and supporting massage therapists better is being all retracted, and we're going back to what was happening before, which I've lived in 2 counties, practiced in 2 counties, Siskiyou County, which has like hardly any regulation at the time when I was there, and I'm in currently Santa Cruz County, which has a lot of gray area, a lot of gray lines about what is allowed and not allowed. And one thing I have learned is that most of the therapists that I work with, especially in Santa Cruz County and Siskiyou County, where it's not regulated, really have no respect for this board. And I came and mentioned before, thank you, 2 minutes now.
Anybody else in the room wishes to make a public comment? Seeing none, operator, do we have anybody remotely from the public who wishes to make public comments?
Anyone would like to make a comment, please raise your hand. There are no comments at this time.
I got a comment.
Thank you. Allison Siegel would like to make a...
I'd like to make a point of clarification. CAMTC is not a quasi-governmental agency. It is a non-profit, public benefit corporation. Thank you.
Okay. Dixon, did you have a question or comment?
The record should reflect that Mr. Gallagher's comments violated our prohibition against bringing items out of closed session, which he did concerning the October 11 meeting. And that is a serious violation, the type of which he was just censured for, where this motion is prepared to censor him for, to violate his fiduciary responsibility by speaking about something which took place in closed session on October 11th is the very thing we just spent better than half the day on in closed session about his behavior and about his misconduct. I'm confused.
What's he talking about? What did I say? Okay. Closed session.
Let's move forward with the vote, please.
We need to move forward with the vote. Okay, Charlotte. Yeah.
Yes.
It was,
Sarah made the motion, and Shana seconded.
okay, so please take the roll.
Okay. Mike?
So everybody's clear, what you're voting on right now is you're voting on the motion. It has to do with adopting the language and action of the censure.
Mike Callaghan,
No.
Mark Dixon,
Yes?
Shayna Faber,
Yes.
Jeff Norman,
Yes.
Heather Forshee,
No.
Sarah Frazier,
Yes.
Jennifer Gonzalez,
No.
Michael Marylander,
Yes. Yes.
Bernadette Murray,
Abstain.
Stephanie Powell,
Yes.
Martha Stoffer,
Yes.
Christine Underwood.
No.
That's
Motion
seven.
passes.
Yes.
Okay, moving to item 10. Audit committee chair. Is there a discussion or is there?
I'd like to make a motion to appoint Martha Stoffer as audit committee chair.
Second? Mark Dixon.
Did I hear a second from somebody?
Second, Mark Dixon.
A motion was made and seconded, make of the motion, 2 minutes.
Yes, I would like to see Martha take over this position for a few reasons: experience and a good unbiased person who has also sat on the board to hear what we have been talking about and the things that need more transparency. I think that with her unbiased opinion at this point, that it would be best to appoint her as the new audit committee chair.
Thank you. Any other board members who may wish to speak on this motion?
Mr. Chair, I will speak. I believe that Martha Stoffer, with her experience in finance, in business, and in audits, would be a credit to the audit committee. She understands that an audit, the purpose of an audit, and what is not the purpose of an audit. And I believe she will execute that duty responsibly.
Thank you.
I have a question. So there were 2 audits that were before the audit committee. That there's the annual audit and then the audit that during the last meeting was requested. So are both audits underway? That's the first question. The second question is what happened? Do we still have a second audit committee co-chair?
I think it can be addressed, but that is really not germane to, it's not part of the motion. They're not talking about the audits. They're talking about who's going to chair the audit committee. So the audit committee does not have a chair right now. So Sarah made a motion to appoint another board member to chair the audit committee. There's nothing in the motion that speaks to this issue. So bottom line is it doesn't change. It doesn't change it.
So what role does Bernadette play in the audit committee?
Currently, Bernadette is a member of the audit committee.
So, just a point of clarification, Bernadette was appointed to the audit committee by the previous audit chair. It is up to whoever is ultimately appointed to the audit committee chair to to basically staff that committee. So it's up to whoever takes that role, whether Bernadette will stay or not on that committee.
I'd like to make a comment.
Any other board member wishes to speak in regard to this motion?
Yeah, me. I really don't know about Martha. I don't know her that well. I think it's a little soon for her to be on an audit committee with only 2 years' experience and not a real firm understanding. I assume of having gone through an audit before and really understanding what it's about. But I just want to make a comment to the rest of the board members that just because you're not on the audit committee doesn't mean that you can't ask for any financials of the organization. Certainly it's in our bylaws. So if you ever have a question about expense or the financials, feel free to go to Amos and ask for that item.
Thank you. Any other comments?
I have a question, if you don't mind. Martha, is this even something you would consider? I know that you and I joined together, so this is our 4th meeting, so.
Martha, you're muted.
Myself, you're muted. Yes, I would love to do that. I would like to be the audit committee chairman, but I would like to clarify here. I don't know where Mike thinks that I don't have experience. I have a business that is very successful. In every way, I would say that was nominated one of the first class that is #1 in every magazine, pretty much. So I worked my way to bringing Ayurveda to the world, and I worked really hard for that. I started one room by myself. So I don't know why, Mike, do you think that I will not be able to do this?
Well, I'm not saying experience or nothing, I'm just saying that I don't know about your experience at all.
Okay, wait. Every board member can make 2 minutes comments.
Right, I think that's out of order. That's okay. So Martha, did you wrap up your comments? Or were you interrupted?
No, not too.
Okay.
Bernadette?
I would like to say that in terms of where we are in terms of actions that are taking place with the audit committee, we do have a audit committee. Well, I will just say that I certainly hope that if Martha is appointed to become the chair of the audit committee, that she will continue moving forward with the audit and making sure that it's complete by June the 30th. That was the goal that we were working on. And also following up with the secondary audit, which we have already begun discussing with the auditor. And thank you.
Thank you. Any other board member? Any board member who is participating remotely would like to make any 2 minutes comments? Somebody's new? Okay. Seeing none. Public comments from people in the audience in the room? Seeing none, circling. Thank you. Any public comments from people participating remotely?
Yes, we have a comment from Michael. Michael, please go ahead.
I didn't raise my hand or anything.
Michael Robertson.
I'm sorry.
Please unmute Michael Robertson.
Michael, you need to accept to unmute, please.
Yes, thank you. I'm unsure how you were able
continue with the committee with a new chairperson who can flesh out everybody and start with somebody new, and still stay on your directives that you have already set. Could you please explain?
Does that conclude your comment?
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Any other public comments from members of the public participating remotely?
To make a comment at this time, please raise your hand or press *9. There are no further comments.
Thank you. Please,
Mike Callaghy,
Yeah.
Mark Dixon,
Yes.
Sheena Faber,
Yes.
Jeff Foreman,
Yes.
Heather Forshee,
No.
Sarah Fraser,
Yes.
Jennifer Gonzalez,
Yes.
Michael Marylander,
Yes.
Bernadette Murray,
No.
Stephanie Powell,
Yes.
Martha Soffer,
Yes.
and Christy Underwood.
Abstain.
Yes.
okay. Motion passes. We're moving to item number 11, proposed amendments to policy and procedures for approval of schools. Joe, please present that.
All right, thank you. I will say the one question I've been asked all day today is, when are we going to discuss the policies and procedures for approval of schools? So here we go. So this is, we started this discussion at the last board meeting, and there wasn't a quorum. I don't think there ended up being a vote, so we're bringing it back. But there's also a couple of new items. So even if you were there and heard before, please listen up to the changes, because there are a couple of new things that are different from the last board meeting. Most of these are cleanup languages. So the first change is to section 1A, which is on page 184 of your board packet. And this clarifies that CAMTC cannot accept continuing education hours as meeting the minimum requirements for training and curriculum. This has always been the case, but it's arrived at sort of as a matter of deduction, or because it doesn't meet the qualifications. And so we get many education reviews where this comes up. So as a matter of more transparency for people who are applying, we just wanted to put this in writing so it was easier for them to find that. The second change is section 1E. It's on page 185 of your packet, and it clarifies that schools applying for reapproval must submit a complete, we added the word complete, application at least 6 months prior to their expiration date. So they've always had to have a complete application, but we have really been running into a lot of issues lately, by lately I mean the last year or so, schools applying for reapproval, not getting it in that 6 months and not submitting complete applications. And then, as you can imagine, their deadline for their approval expiring starts to get close, and they want us to hurry, even though they didn't submit a complete application or get it in on time. So we want to clarify that for their sake. The third change is on page 185, 186 of the packet, and this one amends the fees to align with the budget that the board passed back at the December 14 meeting. So to be clear, this isn't changing the fees, this is simply changing the procedures to match what was in the budget that was passed at the December 14th meeting. The fourth change is page 187, and this adds a cooling off period of 2 years after 2 purged applications. So by that I mean a school applies for approval. What happens in that process is a lot of this timeline is written into the Massage Therapy Act itself. A school applies, and then we have 30 days to provide them a letter that tells them that their application is not complete. We provide a very detailed letter within that 30 days, and then they have 60 days with possible extension of another 30 days, so 60 to 90 days to then complete those items that we've told them are missing. And then if a school does not submit those items within that 60 to 90 days, their application is purged. And then they have they can reapply, submit a new application 180 days after that. This would add a cooling off period, so if they then submit a second application, the same process happens. They would now have to wait 2 years instead of just the 180 days. This is because it takes a lot of work to process these applications, and what ends up happening is we often end up, CMTC staff ends up sort of being their hired consultant, curriculum person, whatever you'd like to call it, to try to help them get through this application process. It also opens up the possibility of schools using that as a method to learn how to apply, because we do send very detailed letters, and so they get a certain amount right this application, the next one they get a little bit more, the next one they get a little bit more. So we would like to slow that down in the interest of public protection and keeping those schools at bay. The fifth change is on page 192, 193 of the packet, and this one simply it amends the procedures to align with the current application process. And it just there's a couple of times where the application requires resume, so we put that here so that it's clear on both documents, and then also just inadvertently on the other one it was resume and copy of a current valid government issued photo ID. All of that has been part of the application packet, but it makes it much easier for schools if all the paperwork matches. The next item up is on page 200 of your packet. This is some clarifying language around the curriculum. Both of these have long been the sort of curriculum that we have enforced, but it's more transparent and easier for schools to follow if it's written into the policies and procedures. The first one defines hands-on massage hours as 2 individuals actively working on a massage table, mat, or chair. And this is the case at 90-95% of the time when we make a site visit. Then there's occasionally when we walk into a school and there's 4, 5, 6, I've seen even a dozen people around a massage table. And clearly, with that kind of number of people, for everybody that is associated with massage, they're not getting the hours in that class of education. There's a lot of issues with that education. If there's questions, I can go further into that. The second part of that involves the draping, where students practicing modalities and techniques which are generally performed unclothed or partially clothed should be performing these modalities and techniques in the classroom, predominantly on unclothed or partially clothed individuals. One of the things that is required is in their course catalogs are draping policies, and with all of the issues surrounding draping and massage schools teaching that, it's important that massage schools are reinforcing and putting practice into draping, because there's, in our world of massage, a lot of issues that come up around draping. And we see schools that, for whatever reason, again, very few site visits that we go on, but it does happen where we see practice of students that Swedish massage, say, on a clothed individual. And of course, it makes exceptions for times when they're learning to drape, when they're
practicing a new technique or course modalities that would typically be closed. The next one is page 203 of your packet. This is section 5H, and it amends the procedures to align with the current application and site visit processes. And this is requiring a current class calendar. This is something that's been in the application as well, and just needed to be here. There's actually, it's listed elsewhere that they need to have a calendar. This reinforces that they have a standardized curriculum. It also helps in the planning and budgeting for our site visits, so we don't show up and there not be a class.
So, I apologize for interrupting you, but because the new body open meeting act rules for this kind of meeting, all directors must be on camera at all time. Just noticed that we lost one of the directors, so I need to call for, I guess, 3 minutes break until we can get this board member back to camera. I was just advised by council that I need to call a break, so I'm calling for a 3 minutes break.
All right, I'll be back at the exciting conclusion of that after 3 minutes.
You have to have a full board in order to continue grading. We're not supposed to. All you need is majority of the board to continue.
And there's the faculty, so I don't know.
Can you guys still see me?
Yes. I have to feel free for you to talk about it.
Okay, I just want to make sure it wasn't me.
I feel like maybe because if he's trying to be on and he lost connection, that's probably it.
Oh, I just want to make sure it wasn't me that you could not see.
we're going to continue with, turn off the camera of this board member, so this way we do not have to have it one camera. There's all these new rules that council advised me.
Hang on. It's not that we're turning off his camera. If he's left the meeting, then he's just disconnected and not, I would call it not present at the meeting.
Okay.
He can't just be, they can't just be off camera, okay?
Well, I was informed that he needed a break, but it looks like he left, so that's why I suggested the camera would be cut off and we just continue the meeting. Okay, so let's go. I'm sorry, Joe.
All right, I know everybody's excited for the conclusion of this. Hopefully you didn't read ahead. Or ruin it for anybody. So the final proposed amendment is section 5J, A through E. It's on pages 205 to 206 of your packet. And this goes back to something that happened at the last meeting that we discussed, which was approved at the last meeting. The board approved the amendments to our evaluation of out-of-country education. And that was to include, so one of the requirements for somebody submitting education from out of country is that they must successfully complete an out-of-country supplemental program at an approved school. That's proved challenging for certain schools, particularly the accredited schools, because the accreditors won't accredit a program that's as short as 50 hours. So this language here would give schools the flexibility to add this out-of-country supplement education as either a standalone program, if they can get it approved that way, for example, through BPPE, or as a course under an already approved program, which is the direction that likely accredited schools would need to go. So that's what the language there that adds in course. You see it several times in red. So those are the proposed amendments. I would ask if one of the board members would make a motion to approve those and go there. And I'm certainly happy to answer any questions that you may have.
Well, I move to approve your revised policies and procedures on school workdays.
There's a motion. Is there a second to this motion?
Chair in favor, I'll second the motion.
Okay. Motion was made and seconded.
I'd like to make a substitute motion. I'd like to move that these amendments be approved as presented with the exception of the amendments to sections 2, A and B on the fees.
I'll second that motion.
Okay, so motion was made and seconded. Substitute motions, those of you who are not familiar with this procedure, so the motion was made and seconded, the substitute motion was made. So now we're going to discuss the substitute motion. If the substitute motion passes, then the original motion is not being debated or voted on, which is adopted. If the substitute motion is going to fail, then we're going to go back to discussion on the original motion. So the maker of the substitute motion, please.
Thank you. I appreciate the explanation. I think all of the other amendments are appropriate and worthwhile. The part on the fees, the reason why I think this deserves further discussion. We have another agenda item on this agenda about possibly reducing fees, looking at those again. The increase in these fees, I did not vote to approve the original budget that included these increases. The 15% increase to schools just amounts to, it's about $12,000 for this year in terms of income. It doesn't materially affect our budget one way or another. And also in terms of of what it actually costs for the approval process for schools, for a new school that's approved initially for 2 years, it's $50,000, and the fee that's charged currently, the $3,000 fee, covers about 6% of that. The other 94%, in essence, is pretty much subsidized by certificate holders. Increasing that by $450 would mean it's a 1% reduction, it's 7% of the cost rather than 6%. Likewise, for the reapproval of schools for 4 years, it costs about $51,000. The current fee of $6,000 covers about 12% of that cost. Increasing that fee from $6,000 to $6,900 is 13% of the cost of what it actually, the expense in terms of reapproving schools. And at the same time, as I said, it's an increase of 15% to the school, and for the certificate holders, that means Bernadette, I'm sorry, but the 2 minutes is up. Thank you.
I'd like to make a comment. Yeah, in fact, I concur with everything that Bernadette said there, and that's why I love having Bernadette on the audit committee. She was just awesome with the numbers and looking at all these through a microscope. I really do think this is an insignificant amount. Why create more barriers to schools starting up and staying operational? I can easily make this amount up with many suggestions that I have on how we can save money. I don't think we should be burdening schools with this, and I certainly look forward to the conversation later on about certificate holder reducing their fees also. But I think that we can make this up other ways. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other board member? Yes.
I appreciate Bernadette's comments, and I think that because it is a line on our agenda, that I think by streamlining, approving everything about the fees, because we do have it as a line on the agenda, I think would be best.
So, just so everybody's clear, you were speaking in support
In support
of the substitute motion. Thank you. Any other board members' comments?
And just to be clear, I was supportive of all of the other amendments in there, just not the fees.
Any other board members wish to make any comments? Board members who participate remotely, any comments about the substitute motion that Bernadette made?
I'd like to make a comment. In the past, the certificate holders have been paying for the school approval process. A lot of the funds from the certificate holders have been used to pay for the school approval. And this brought a better balance so that all of the funds weren't coming to bail out the other section. So I don't know why our thinking is changing in regards to that. But historically, that's what occurred.
Thank you. Any other board members participating remotely would like to make a comment on this motion? Hearing none. Public comments for people in the room?
Would you clarify for me by nod, yes or no? Is this on a friendly amendment or is this further comments on Joe Bob's report?
And you're making comments on a substitute motion of Bernadette Mary.
Is it appropriate to see if Joe Bob has any comments on the motion?
We will wait before we take the vote. Any public comments from members of the public who participating remotely?
Here's a comment from Michael Robertson. Michael, go ahead.
Thank you. I support Bernadette's amendment to this motion, and would encourage the board to really consider the financial burden that the massage schools are already facing, to add this additional burden to them financially, or what little it does offer, I find personally unreasonable, so I would agree with Bernadette. Thank you.
Any other public comments from people participating by Zoom?
There are no further comments.
Before we take a vote, Joe Bob, do you have any quick comments on the motion?
Sure, I don't have any opinion on the fees. I simply was putting them in as an amendment to, I'm a stickler for things matching, and the numbers in the policies and procedures simply did not match what was in the budget. So that was the only intention I had behind that. I will say, just for the board's knowledge, that since that budget was passed, that's what schools have been charged. So it was so as a reminder, those fees were set as of June the 1st. So for new schools that apply on or after June the 1st, which we haven't had one yet, but schools applying on or after June the 1st were to pay the new fees. And for current schools whose approval expired after June the 1st were to pay those fees, and we have had some applications for those. So that's just for board knowledge. I'm sure if we reduce the fees and we have to write a check back to those schools, they'll probably celebrate. But anyway, that's just for your knowledge that we have been practicing it in policy, even though it hasn't been written in policies and procedures.
Thank you. So please take the vote on the substitute motion for the
Mike Kelly,
Yes.
Mark Dixon, you're on mute.
I'm sorry, I said no vote.
I didn't hear it.
No, the vote is no.
The vote is no, thank you. Shannon Faber,
No.
Jeff Foreman,
No.
Heather Forshee,
Yes.
Sarah Fraser,
Yes.
Jennifer Gonzalez,
Yes.
Michael Marylander,
No.
Bernadette Murray,
Yes.
Stephanie Powell,
No.
Martha Soffer,
No.
Christy Underwood,
Yes.
six yeses. Six noes.
Motion fails. So now we're going back to the original motion. So I think there was a motion which was made and seconded. I don't remember who made that motion.
I have one motion.
Was it Mark Dixon?
Mr. Martin, this me.
Okay, Mark, you have 2 minutes to speak for your motion.
I've been fully supportive of Joe Bob's expertise and diligence and attention to details since he has held this position, and I support just about everything he brings up. I trust him, I respect him, and I respect his positions as he leads our school approval process.
Thank you. Any other board member who wish to make any comments for the motion that Mark Dixon made?
I too respect Joe Bob, and I think that I also trust that when Bernadette looks deeply into something and has quantifiable numbers to share, also ideas, having this as an agenda item makes sense to discuss the fees without voting on it again. I know that it is passed and we do have it in action with schools, but I do think that it wouldn't hurt to take another look and to examine how it affects schools and also certificate holders, and to talk through other options that might be possible.
I was wondering if you would consider a friendly amendment, and I'm just gonna put this in context, having done many fees in my life. Putting fees in two places often creates this type of scenario. And leaving the fees separately and voted up or down in a separate document often avoids this kind of problem. And so my friendly amendment would be to strip the fees out of the guts of this document and any document similar to this moving forward, and leave the fees in another document so that it doesn't get, the rest of the good work in this document doesn't get bogged down by an unrelated discussion point, which is the fee point. So my friendly amendment would be just to strip the fees, the fee amounts out of A and B of this section so that it doesn't distract from the rest of the document that we're trying to consider.
Before I approve the friendly amendment, I will ask Joe Bob if this would create any kind of administrative complication for you to do it the way Heather is suggesting.
Not that I can foresee. We do have a schedule of fees that's on the website. Of course, we have to have the fees somewhere, but I absolutely agree with Heather. Every time we've ever had to change the fees, then we have to go through, I think, our own application as well. But the board approves this, and so we always have to go back, and I think there have been occasions where the only change we were making was just to go in and create new policies and procedures just to change the fees. So yes, I wouldn't mind getting rid of that headache, and because some of these other items I need to change, and like I said, I have no dog in this fight other than just trying to keep the paperwork clean.
Thank you, Joe. It just wouldn't be a CAMTC board meeting if we didn't change the school's policy procedure approval document every time. So yeah, I'll approve this and avoid some of that in the future. I'll approve the friendly amendment. And second.
So, Shan, since you originally seconded that motion, do you approve or you do not approve the friendly amendment?
I approve the friendly amendment.
Thank you. So there was a motion on the floor, there was a friendly amendment, the motion was amended in such a way to remove, not include the fees in the document.
To clarify, Heather, tell me that I have this right. The friendly amendment is to remove the reference to specific fees for schools and their policies and procedures for approval of schools.
Yes, just remove the dollar value and just keep the sentence moving.
Yeah, thank you.
So that it lives longer.
Any comments from any board members about this motion after it was amended in a friendly fashion?
If I may, I'll say that if my understanding is correct, that it means that it will just say pay the initial application fee and then and pay the reapproval application fee as adopted by the board or some language like that. Basically, yes, I very much support that.
Erica, can you please tell me what page in the board packet you're looking at? I appreciate it.
Sure, I'm looking at page 185 and 186.
Thank you.
Yes, on step, yes. So that's my understanding. Is my understanding correct of what we're doing here? We're just saying pay the initial application fee, but not have any dollar amount actually listed. And on the next section, just say pay the reapproval fee.
Yes, and I tried to put a language for that, in line with what Heather was asking for. We would remove the language that talks about a specific fee.
Right. Okay.
But we will remove the entire sentence, not just the number.
Just the number.
Leave the sentence in, but just remove the number.
Right, just take out the amounts.
And in any word right before it that refers directly to the numbers. So there's just a statement referring to the approved fee.
helpful to restate the motion, or do we all know where we are?
I think we should restate it.
Okay, I'm gonna try my best here. So the motion I think on the floor here is that the motion is to approve the policies and procedures, or sorry, the amendments to the policies and procedures for the approval of schools, with the additional amendment to remove references to dollar amounts for fees in those procedures. Mark, did I get that right?
Yes.
Okay.
And I just have a point of clarification. So does that mean that we'll be coming up with a schedule of fees as a separate document that we'll be looking at, and how will schools who will be looking at this amendment happening online now know what they're paying?
Yeah, so to be clear, there is already a document with fees on the CAMTC's website. So that document exists. All Joe Bob was doing was taking the information in that document and putting it in here and requesting that this be amended so that this is in conformity with the document that's on the website and the budget.
Any other comments from board members before we get public comments? Being none, any public comments from people in the room?
Sorry to ask you again, just clarification, is this about a fee issue, or is it on the member of the city board?
It's on the amendments proposed, so the language is being changed to remove reference to the amounts in the policies and procedures, but all of the other amendments,
I can't hear it, Allison. Can you tell me yes or no, is this about a fee issue or the remainder?
the remainder of the amendments.
Regarding this report, at that section, the fee issue that you're discussing, is that?
Unfortunately, this is public comment, not public question.
Okay, I'm just trying to figure out if I'm gonna appropriately comment or not, so I'll wait.
Any other public comments from people in the room?
Chairman? I think she needs to comment. She needs to come back up. She's trying to clarify if her comment
All of
was.
you, you have 2 minutes to make a public comment.
She can't hear you, sir.
I said you have 2 minutes to make a public comment. Please.
So my comment is on F, on Joe's report, number 2, regarding the education and, as Ms. Lundstedt makes required for ethics, communications, health and hygiene, and public protection as required by the Society Act. So in school, we are taught to do no harm, and we're taught to do the effective contraindication, that sort of thing. My question is, what is the definition of public protection? In addition to that, there is no definition in the Massage Act or in the Business and Professions Code. So what exactly does that mean? It's now going to be required in a procedural manual for the schools. That's my comment. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other public comments from people in the room? Seeing none, public comments from people participating remotely.
To ask a comment, please use the raise hand function or push *9.
Sure. Can you clarify what section she was referring to?
I believe she was referring to section F. Is that what you said? Section F, faculty?
Yes, I was referring to section F, the number 2 friends in that section.
I don't know if that was changed in the policies. Section F is on page 20 of the report, or page 203 of the report.
It's page 182 of your board packet.
And it's the little F there, clause 2, or page 182 of the report.
Attention, attention, an emergency has been reported in this building. Please cease operations and leave the building utilizing the nearest exit or fire exit stairway. Do not use elevators.
This meeting is adjourned.